Hey, there we go. Oh no, my chroma key looks all funny. Oh no. Let's try and fix that real quick. Oh my gosh. All this blue. There, that's a little bit better. All right. How we doing? Can you hear me good? Good morning. I'm fading out. I'm fading out? What's fading out? I think I have my colors fixed. Good morning. I'm sorry for starting a little bit late. Unmake myself? No. Today is... What day is today? Today is February 10th, 2018. My name is Jeff Fritz. Welcome back to my live stream. And we're going to be writing a little bit of code today. I don't know what happened to the chroma, why it suddenly flipped out like that. I do have a little patch back here. It looks like it's... My light isn't quite focused properly. Let's see. Nope, it's not going to behave well. It'll go away. You won't even notice it when I get minimized here. Good morning. I'm back to wearing a normal Eagles hat today. I'm going to be wearing a lot of Eagles hats for probably the next week or so. We are still in Super Bowl euphoria here in the Philadelphia area. So good morning. I see a bunch of friends there in the chat room. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me. Brendan, Standby Reloading is out there. Maher, oh, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. And even Caldude B. Thank you, Caldude B. And thank you, Steve. It's good to see you down there. Yeah, let's go over to our code. I've already mentioned what we're going to be looking at here today. You see it on the title of the stream. And of course, I'm playing music to code by. This is a song called Cyan from my friend Carl Franklin. How old is that GIF? Oh, it's really old. It's at least, it might be about 10 years old, maybe? But this song is from my friend Carl Franklin. He writes a great set of music called Music to Code By. You can get his album from mtcb.pwop.com. And he also has an app you can download. You can get some free songs. The app is called Music to Flow By. And that's great for getting you chill, getting you in the mood, and relaxed and focused on writing code or whatever task you might be working on. It's older than 10 years. All right, maybe it is. Let me go over, let's start taking a look here. That's better. I love being right in the middle of the code like this. But I'm just looking at the browser right now. We're at 678 followers of our next goal of 1,000. When we hit that goal, we will do... I'll do a call-in show, and you'll be able to call in. You'll be able to get on Skype and ask me the questions about your code that you might need help with, and we'll solve them together here on stream. Our previous goal of 500, we are going to be hosting that workshop. I had a couple of my speakers cancel. I'm trying to firm up the rest of them, but I am going to be doing it on Friday. That'll be Friday the 16th. All right, so that's this Friday. I'm probably going to start at about the same time I normally do it, about 10 a.m., and we're going to go right through till about 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So that'll be starting at about 1500 UTC and going right until 11 p.m. If you're out in Europe. But if you're on the West Coast, we'll be going from 7 a.m. right through. So, that's the schedule for that. But today we're going to talk about Blazor. And Blazor's an interesting project. Blazor was an experiment that my colleague Steve Sanderson started on. How's the music level here? How does it sound? Is it too high? Is it overpowering? Let me know. Thanks for the nudge on Twitter about the area-based error handling in .NET Core. I did get that solved. Awesome. Great. Glad to hear that. Let's see. Asp Net. So we had an announcement. Great levels. Oh, that's good to hear. We had an announcement on com web dev. Here it is. So we had an announcement on our blog. Where is it? Browser-based web apps with .NET and Blazor. So my friend Dan Roth announced the browser plus Razor equals Blazor. The idea here is we're going to use WebAssembly, the ability to run native DLLs in your browser, and this is supported by all browsers now. We're going to use that to be able to run C# code in the browser. Okay? So that's a little crazy. Here are some of the ideas of things that we want you to be able to do. Now, this was a prototype that Steve Sanderson, amazing engineer on our team, he went through and he was explaining and he showed how to use a little bit of this concept at NDC Oslo. And there's a link here to his video so you can see exactly what this looks like. What we announced is we took that prototype, that literally pie on the sky thing, and we said, you know what? This makes sense for us. Let's bring this into the Asp Net team and let's start experimenting on this. Let's see if there is proper demand for this in order to turn this into a product. Now, this is, to be clear, this is an experiment. This is not an alpha, a beta, or a production release. Okay? There are no docs. This is strictly a bunch of folks being extremely transparent with you, our web community, our .NET community, and showing you this is something we're thinking about. You can download the code. You can tinker with it. You can submit pull requests for it, and we've already got a handful of pull requests for it. You can tell us what you'd like to see with it. Open issues. Submit them to us. Tell us what you'd like to do. So all browser except IE11. Yeah, IE11 needs a polyfill. It'll actually run on Asm.js instead of WebAssembly. So Asm.js is actually running assemblies in JavaScript. So this is a very interesting idea, right? Other languages are already starting to do a little bit of a compile and run in the browser, but we've got a couple million .NET developers out there that we can empower to be able to run their applications natively in the browser. Now, when you think about that, right, if all the browsers support this, right, then that means Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Safari. I can't believe I chose Opera before Safari. And even before Edge, Internet Explorer, mobile Safari. It runs on your iPhone. And the mobile Android browser, right, as well as mobile Chrome. Very cool stuff, and we actually get folks receiving a little bit of a nudge thanks, actually, to Meltdown Inspector, right? You need to have your browser fixed, patched, in order to ensure that those flaws don't affect you. So you need to install a browser update to protect against those. So we're actually kind of forcing people into downloading, not Microsoft, but as a industry, we're forcing people to download a new version of the browser that will support this technology. Now, the technology runs inside the browser sandbox, so we should be pretty safe. There's a spot for us to compile docs as we play with it. That's a great question, Brendan. I haven't seen one yet. There is a wiki here that I'm sure we can start to talk about pushing some content into. If we were to open an issue about, hey, let's start creating some documentation here, I'm sure that the team would welcome that for us to start keying something in and getting something together. This is very cool. The border between native app and web app is becoming very thin. You're right, Malachi 521. What I think is really interesting about this is consider the folks that started creating those Chromium-based apps, right? Those apps that are literally the Chrome browser hosting a web page, right? And that's stuff like the Slack app and even Microsoft Teams or Visual Studio Code. Well, that's actually running on Electron, which in fact is itself a Chromium app. So yes, Brendan is aware of how to add and update docs. VS Code and Atom, absolutely. So those applications could run, using WebAssembly, could run more native code directly in the browser. And the architecture of this, right, if I scroll down here on the README, there's some links here to a simple live Blazor app that you can click through and try, and I encourage you to try this even on your phone so you can see that it works. But this is, I want to make sure I say this a lot today. This is exceptionally experimental. Good morning, P. Borg. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate the follow. Look forward to seeing you in the chat room. This is extremely experimental. This is zero guarantee that this works, okay? So I'm not actually going to build anything with this today. I want to download it, I want to build it, and I want to take a look at some of the samples and see what we can learn about how this is structured. And I want to have a conversation with you about what you think we can do with it, what are some of the things that might be interesting to work on with it, and we'll see how far that takes us. Malachi says, Electron is cancer and it has to die. Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Gosh. I think it's just a different type of, a different way that folks are delivering code. It's a nice native application that you're installing. It works. Let's see, Maher says, the goal is to build a programming model that uses normal web concepts, HTML and CSS, alongside .NET code. Absolutely. This is ASP.NET, which is traditionally server-side, but running in the browser. I think we need positivity in software dev. It's okay to use what you like. Absolutely. Lots of choices out there, lots of programming languages. Use the model that works best for you. Standby reloading, that is a perfect way to describe it. Blazor plus PWA, a progressive web app, sounds really cool. Electron is nice, but there can be frustrations with it, but you find that with any platform. Absolutely. Yes. Everybody gets frustrated with different platforms. I got frustrated with Java. I got annoyed with Ruby. I settled in with .NET. So this is Blazor. I've actually already forked this, just so I can have my own copy that I can break if I want to make any changes or submit a pull request. So I'm going to go to C# for its Blazor, and you see it's exactly the same thing. But let's grab a copy of this, and let's put it down here locally. So I'm going to git clone and bring down a copy of Blazor here on my machine. I think it's important that end users have a good experience. Absolutely. For a 6D65. Is that a hex? Is that a hex? A hex? Handle? All right. Of course, some apps we are using maybe should be considered moving off Electron. I kind of agree with you. Slack has gotten to a point where it's a little bit more complex, and it may make sense to move off of Electron. Blazor name derives from browser plus Razor, but where does the L come from? I have no idea. Wondered that too. JME equals Jamie. There you go. All right. So I have it cloned locally. Let me go into that folder, and just so that I have a hook to be able to reference this and get the upstream updates, I'm going to clone or download here and grab the URL for this repository, and I'm going to add that as my upstream. So when I'm ready to pull in changes, I've got it here. So let me go back to my repository. So I need to have .NET Core SDK greater than 2.1.4. Let me show you that I do in fact have that. .NET version. I actually have 2.1.100-preview 7354. Now we did some things with the version numbering of our .NET CLI so that we can try to get them to line up with our supported .NET Core version, so that you have SDK and .NET Core lining up a little bit. We actually have, where is it? Blogs, MSDN, Microsoft, com, .NET. We were in very long conversations about the numbering of this. Where is it? The CLI. Is it hiding under this one? Global Tools. So Global Tools is coming. Minor version roll forward. There we go. So, no, that's not the versioning discussion. There is a versioning discussion here somewhere. And microservices and Docker. Tensor. Nullable references. I don't see it. Have a look on the roadmap. Yeah, it was just there. That's the Asp Net core, .NET core. These are the 2 videos. Build time performance, global tools. I don't see it. There's a discussion on the version numbering of this. Is 2.1 released? No. It's not. Not yet. 2.1 we expect to release in the next few months. Electron gives me a terrible experience. I have to keep Slack off because it consumes around a gig of RAM. Yes. There are definitely challenges with some of these apps, and they're JavaScript apps that people are writing inside the browser that do have memory leaks. It's actually hard to write an app, a JavaScript app, that doesn't have memory leaks. I think I need to go into this one at one point this week. Asp Net Framework 4.7.2, because there is a really cool feature here that I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to see and has some idea as what's going on. So, but I think we'll hit that probably Tuesday. True, there is a fight right now between using what we have always used and what helps all forms of devs work. And again, here you hit use what platform works for you. Yeah. Just looking at the MS stack, it's the difference between VS Code and standard Visual Studio. You have your choice. So we're trying to make it easier to use other tools besides full Visual Studio and put all those features that you want in a full IDE to do profiling and code inspections and all kinds of advanced tooling inside a full Visual Studio. Can't wait for ASP.NET 2.1 and SignalR support. Well, SignalR is available. You can download and use the alpha if you'd like right now. It's completely open source, but you will need to take the updates as they come along. Scott Hunter talked about the .NET Core 2.1 roadmap in his first of 2 videos on the On.NET show. Yes. So, right, if you go to the blog, there is a link to Scott Hunter talking about the roadmap. And there are 2 parts to it. There you go. Thank you, Chris, for sharing those links. So, 2.1.100 is the version that I'm using here. And we also need to have Node.js greater than 8.3. And my Node version, I've installed the 9.5. So, I should be able to run .NET Build and build my application. So let's do that. I am in the same directory as my solution. Let's move this up. And I'm going to run .NET Build. Now, Blazor is a .NET standard library and framework, okay? It builds and hosts as, right, .NET standard. So it should be able to consume and use all the other .NETs, be able to be hosted by all the other .NETs. Which sounds weird to say, but go with me on it. So here it comes. I'm going to finish building that. Now, you can already see here, this is actually running on top of Mono. A techie thought, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Good morning, Steve. A pleasure seeing you here. How'd the Clippers do last night? Why'd you trade Blake? What was with that? Now the Pistons look amazing. So, oh! I got a cool new shirt last night. I gotta show you. Check this out. Move that over there. Look at that. I've got the hand of the king. There you go. That's a little bit easier to see. I'm the hand of the king. So here's what I'm gonna do. At MVP Summit next month, don't tell him. But I'm hosting for all of our Visual Studio and DevTools MVPs. I'm kind of the MC throughout the day. But Scott Guthrie, of course, is going to come and speak to the MVPs. Well, as the MC, I get to announce and you know, bring on each one of the folks. So here, I'm going to be on stage wearing my Hand to the King shirt. Ha-ha! Introducing Scott Guthrie. See how that works? Malachi, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you hitting the button there. All right. Oh my gosh, Yarks Hunter. Thank you, Yarks Hunter, for following. So the Clippers are starting over, Chris says. And Chris is originally from Southern California, so he knows. He knows when there's a deal going on there. Doesn't matter because the Lakers have very much started over. Mobile Res, looking forward to that event, to MVP Summit. Cool. All right, so we finished our build. Now check this out. I'm actually gonna open this in full Visual Studio here. So let's do Blazor SLN. There we go. So what we need is a Fantasy Microsoft League. Do tell, what is a Fantasy Microsoft League? What is it? Yeah. Maher says, what are the prerequisites to run the Blazor project? You know what? It's right here on the front of it's in the README. And if you scroll down here, it says prerequisites .NET Core SDK. And so if you click through and download the version this links to, you'll be at the right version. And Node.js greater than 8.3. So if you take a look at Node, both of these versions that you can download right now, the stable and the latest features, will put you in a good spot for that. Okay? So I've already done the install. Let's see. Like football for Microsoft developers. Interesting. Tell me more. The Fantasy Microsoft League. What is that? Do you get points for us delivering sessions? Do you get points for us being on videos? Because let me tell you, I updated my events coming up here on the wiki. And so we already did Philly.net in January. You can I should actually link to that Mixer video, shouldn't I, Chris? Microsoft Ready Seattle, I was there last week. And MVP Summit's coming up, but here, Dev Intersection Orlando. So they've now got me on 5 sessions there. Wow. So these are 3 that I normally give, right? The Visual Studio Web Tools, I've given that talk at Ignite in the past. But we're going to do our live stream, this live stream, we're going to do live from Orlando with a crowd and a guest. It's going to be crazy. You're going to draft me. Okay, but what's that mean? And I'm also hosting a panel discussion there. I won't be able to stream that. It'll probably go on Channel 9 later, but that'll be coming up. Codestock, I'll be at Codestock in Knoxville, Tennessee. Build was announced. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing at Build yet, but I do have a request in to live stream and pair program at Build. And I've got a couple of guests that have been suggested to me that if we are able to land them as a guest to pair program with at Build, it's gonna blow your mind if I get some of these folks. Okay, I'm not gonna mention anybody by name yet because I want to get them to confirm first before I scare them off. But I'm definitely gonna have some guests on live with me if I get to pair program at Build. At Build. If they don't let me pair program at Build, I'll be somewhere out in the hall pair programming. You can guarantee that. Let's see. Jeff spoke at Philly.net on 124, and like all events on PDN, it was streamed live on Mixer, and then we have that YouTube link. Chris, can you do me a favor? Can you open an issue in the live stream repository here and paste that link in, and I will update this one so it points to that YouTube link. Ashley McNamara. What about... What? I'm trying to convince my manager to send me to Build this year. Awesome. Go for it, Earth Griffin. I think it's going to be a fun event. I'm starting to see some of the items that we're talking about for content trickling out. It'll be a good time. I'll be there. Other folks will be there that you know. Am I able to start using captions with my stream? You know what? So this is a real problem that I have because Twitch and Mixer, it's a little bit tricky. I haven't been able to get them to work. But here's OBS. Let me try. I'm going to click through captions. Let me see. Audio source. Here, let me show you. So here, this is my OBS bit. My audio source is my mic. Yeah, that one. Yes, I'm English. Microsoft Speech to Text. Let's see if it works. Let's enable that. Go. Now, is it enabling captions here in my video? I don't see anything. Let me know if you see captions, closed captioning, some text appearing. Closed captioning is something that we want to do. What the heck is that? Okay, so I don't see it in OBS, but I do see it in Twitch when I look over here on my console. How about on Mixer? Do you see it over there? Test. They started. So it's not great, I know. So and they overlaid right where Steve appears. So I'm gonna turn them off, but I will start turning them on for my YouTube. The YouTube clips here. So I'm going to turn that off. Yeah. Hopes no captain. I know, what's with that? Ashley McNamara. So Techie Thought wrote, what's with Ashley? Why are you dropping her name? I don't understand a Techie Thought. Why'd you drop her name? Let me keep looking down here. What the heck is my name, EarthGriffin321 on here? This is JR. Oh! Hey, JR. I don't know. Manager is already convinced, now only get a ticket. That was a problem in the past, at least. Right. Tickets sell out very fast for this. Tickets are opening on the 15th. And people were actually saying, at one point, talking about Build, right? And, right, we do have a website for Build. If I go to buildmicrosoft.com, and we'll come back to Blazor in just a second. Ticket sales open on the 15th, right? 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Tickets sell out extremely fast, and the problem that we're going to run into is if there's only I think 6,000 tickets that they're going to sell for this because the convention center is only so big. So on Twitch you have to turn it on. It's not very good. Hope's no captain. I don't get that either. acpixel.com. There we go. Had logged in with my work account. A monitor and wolf. Yeah, I know. Isn't that weird? I think they were referring to a live pairing partner for one of your sessions. Oh, Ashley, being a live pairing partner. Might be fun. I've actually got some bigger names that have been suggested and that folks are going to work with me to land as coding partners. So, let's see. I think we were referring to a live pairing partner. I thought you were pair programming with her. I'm not. I could, but I don't have that on the schedule. Is what I use with another deaf MS employee when we stream. I'm not sure it only works with Mixer or not, but with OBS you can set the position to be anywhere. That's acpixel.com. Let me just take a look at that. acpixel.com. Pixel dev overlays for Mixel. Yeah, it's Mixer only. I need to be able to use both. So, I've got to pass on that. I want to use one system for everything. Let's hope they actually built an available registration site this year. I can't speak towards that. It's something they need to do. With OBS, you set up a web link, right? I think there's better options for us to do closed captioning. And if I have it embedded in OBS, then it's going to be burned into the video, which means that you won't be able to turn it off when it gets over to YouTube. So I've got a couple challenges there that I need to address, and I'd rather just turn it on the YouTube one later. At this point, let's see if we can work on that a little bit. But I do agree, at some point I need to get closed captioning working. In fact, let's put that as an issue here. Closed captioning for the live stream. Okay. And what was this? How to introduce other DI engines into Asp Net Core. Good question. Let's I'm gonna mark this, and let me come back to this one probably next week. How do you add Bootstrap components? That's a good one. Asp Net Core bundles Bootstrap but doesn't contain a decent date picker. So there are ways to do this, and in fact some folks have actually built some tag helpers to do this. So we'll come back to that one, Vortex. We'll come back to that one next week. Shall we go for Blazor now? I agree. I get distracted. My apologies. Let's go back to Blazor. So there's what's going on with build. Alright, so we've got it built. I'm back here and I'm in Visual Studio. Let's collapse up some of these things. So here's literally all the source code for Blazor running. And test apps. Fantastic. Okay. So basic test app. Right, so this is, you know what, let me come back. Let me come back to test apps. Let's look at the samples. And I'm going to start off with standalone app. And then we can take a look at what this means. So the standalone app, I don't see any ASP.NET here, okay? It's literally browser renderer, add component, a component called home, and right, it's gonna, look at this, we have a DOM element selector. Attaches a new root component to the renderer, causing it to be displayed in the specified DOM element. Okay, so all this is doing is starting a browser renderer, and it's going to host. Right, we're going to be able to browse to this index page, and there we have our app directive, and it's going to start off showing us loading, but it's going to load our home component that just does hello world. Right, and if we look at the dependencies for this thing, right? I just have .NET Core and Blazor, right? I've got a couple of Blazor components. Blazor for the browser, and a Blazor build component. Okay, let's set this thing as the startup project, and let's actually start this. So I'll do that. So here we go. So it's building, and then we'll take a look at what it actually delivers into the browser in order to make this thing work. Alright, so here's my browser. There's the loading, and it went to hello world. If we look at the source, check this out. Right, the source title, Blazor standalone, script, source, framework, Blazor.js, main is standalone app DLL. So standalone app DLL, my solution explorer moved over here. I want you over there. That's better. So, right, there was nothing written to say include this thing, right? Index just has app. And my program just says add component home, right? Home is a pointer to this thing. And the app. So it's going to serve that index HTML. And it's telling it, replace this app with the component that is home CSHTML. So references, and it's got all the different .NET references that it's built. It included this source, right? There is no, right? That script isn't actually here. Blazor injected that. All right, so what do we got here? What if we add date time next to hello world? All right, let's do it. I'm going to go into home. The current time is at datetime.now. now. All right, I'll save that and refresh. You know what? That's actually in the DLL. I'm going to need to reload because this is a standalone. So let's do that. I'm going to stop and I'm going to rerun this. You're right, Maher. We need to do a rebuild. Oh, build errors. What did we... All right. No. What did we break? Date time does not exist. I don't have a using statement. System.datetime. I am the twig. Welcome, I am the twig. I appreciate the follow. Hope to see you in the chat room. There you go. So it's actually recompiling and running that code, right? 164038, 164040, right? It's giving me that time each time because this is a standalone app. I'm going to click properties on this. And you can see it's a .NET Core 2.0 console application. Right, I'll do a properties on this so you can see, let me do an edit on the CS Proj. You can see it's bringing in the Web SDK, NetCore App 2. It doesn't reference ASP.NET Core all. It's just saying, instead of Blazor serve, that's interesting, it's saying run this project and serve, act as a server. And then, right, it's included the Blazor project, and it's included the Blazor, I guess that's the browser client. Really interesting how this works. I know, we need lots of coffee to get around this, let me tell you. But wait, there's more. All we're doing at this point is hosting, right, we're hosting some Razor in the browser. I mean, okay, that's nothing, right? Let's go take a look at hosting in ASP.NET. So I'm going to set as the startup project the server project. Now these are the samples you can get that when you when you clone the repository. All right, we need to start a tote board. Jeff messing up, saying things weird. Wouldn't need system date time. Is there a view imports like in MVC core? I believe so. Let's take a look. So we have hosted in ASP.NET. Well, okay, you know what? Git clown. We should make that a thing. We should. If I look at standalone app, just to answer the question, who was asking that? Standby Reloading was asking, is there a view imports like MVC core? I don't know. You know what? Let's try it. That's a good question. So I'm going to set this back as the startup project over here. And so there is no... I don't see right now a views folder here. So I'm just going to give this a shot and see what happens. So I'm going to add a new item. ASP.NET Core. I'm going to add a view. And let's call this view imports. Let's see if that works. Right? So I'm going to go at using system. Right? And we should be able then to get over here, get that down to just datetime.now. Let's see if that actually does anything, if that works. I finally wanted to watch these live streams. I'm glad your content is very entertaining. Well, thank you, Mr. The Twig. Mr. The Twig? Ms. The Twig. Good to see you. Thank you. There were build errors. No. And so it doesn't look like it's parsing the view imports. You know what? Maybe that's something that we need to suggest. Right, I can certainly put an at using up here. And that works. Right. Loading, and there it is. So it's actually running that in the browser. Drew Boy with the clown emote. Nice. Nice. All right. I finally wanted to watch. Okay. Is there a view imports? Wouldn't need system.datetime. Cool. All right. Yes. Load up on coffee. At some point, I need to figure out stickers and other things like that. Because if I see you folks at Dev Intersection, at Code Stock, or one of these other events, I want to be able to hand out stickers. All right, I want to go back over, I want to take a look at this hosted in Asp Net, because really, we want you to be able to use this in Asp Net. So I'm going to set server as the startup. Can I show the network tab in the browser when loading the page? Sure, absolutely. I'll show you the network tab when we look at this project. So Asp Net, this is standard Asp Net. We have a program here that has the same two methods that we're used to seeing: build web host, create the default builder, add our configuration, use a startup class, blah, 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 blah. We're used to seeing that, right? Let's take a look at what's in the startup here. Configure services, we're used to seeing that. Nothing going into the dependency injection container here, right? Configure services in Asp Net Core, you set up dependency injection. However, when we're configuring our HTTP pipeline, we're going to use a developer exception page, but then we're going to say use Blazor. Check that out. Hosted in ASP.NET.client. So use Blazor here will take a client assembly name to load up and consume as part of this. Oh, Chris, thank you so much for pushing the tweet out there, promoting the stream. Yeah. Go ahead, friends. Promote the stream out there on Twitter. Tell your friends to come join us. We want to get lots of folks joining in and taking a look at what we're doing here. We'll write some code. I want to answer your questions. I want to, let's tinker with this. Let's break it. We already did a little bit. We found out that view imports doesn't work. But let's take a look. Issues number 57 already has a task for view imports. Fantastic. Look at that. Random dude. I can see this being awesome for a solution with a web API project right next to it. Why not host it in the same thing? You could host it in the same project and move it around. Oh my gosh, so much you could do. This is going to host and load this assembly name. So that assembly itself has a program CS that says new browser render, add component of type my component, and it's going to look for the app directive to replace. So here, once again, is that index HTML that it's going to serve, and there's our directive for loading. Now, so this my component, so this is an I component, it's a user interface component. So the folks out there that are working for or working with component companies, right? I'm thinking of Progress, DX, DevExpress, Infragistics, Component One. Here's a great way to build components that are full .NET running in the browser. And the component, it looks like, has one method, build render tree. And all it's doing is, looks like creating a couple of elements and then going to close. I'm not sure what this last close element goes to. Oh, it closes this UL. All right. Wow, a couple questions coming in. Let's see what we got. This is amazing, but applications these days don't just render static pages most of the time. I really want to see a more dynamic web user interface, like manipulating the DOM. Is there a sample like that? Oh, yes. We'll get to that. Keep in mind, we are seeing an open view of an experimental build. Great point, Chris. This is very experimental. This is right? We aren't even at an alpha, okay? So let's get in here and let's break some things. But first, let's try running this sample. So I'm going to select to run this application, right? The team wants to hear your feedback. Some of these questions you guys have, great questions. Oh, look, there's my loading. So it should be loading. And there, hello from render tree, right? So render tree was this bit here. So there's my H1, right? Let's see if we can put this side by side. So there's my H1, there's my UL. So it built it, but it built it on the browser, right? So I'm going to F12 over here, and I'm going to, I don't want to inspect. Don't do an inspection yet. Let's look at the source. So it included Blazor.js, and the main that it's bringing in is coming in from hosted in ASP.NET Client DLL, okay? As we discover what it can do, we need it to do, give the feedback. Absolutely. We do need to provide that. Shape the future of it, as well as, tell folks how much you want to do stuff with this. So, right, and look at all these things that it's referencing and bringing in. So, if we take a look at this JavaScript, look at this. So, Webpack Bootstrap, And it's got a require capability here to bring in and manage. None of this is minified yet, right? I mean, this is all laying out there so we can see what's going on. Register functions, get registered functions. Right? And I'm just looking through here, looking to see if I... Ah, crumbs. I want to find mono. Look at this. So it's actually loading and running on top of mono, a special version of Xamarin's mono, in the browser, okay? So there's two teams that are at work here at Microsoft. There's one team that's building the framework, the web framework, on top of the mono runtime, and there's the team that works on mono that's making that work. They're trimming it out so it'll work in the browser, and we can start referring to all of our .NET things here. Now think about all the cool games that are built on top of mono that you know about, right? I mean, we know Pokemon Go is built on mono. We know Blizzard's Hearthstone is built on mono. These are games that right, they've done a lot to make them work in those environments, but that's how powerful you could get running on top of mono. Would you be able to get all that in the browser? I don't know yet. We're still trying to figure this out, right? This is part of the experiment. But check that out. So it's including Razor, and then there's mono right there. Right? Can I click through to that? I want to be able to click through and see that. There we go. So there's framework, right? And then there's the WebAssembly, right? Mono.js. I mean, oh my gosh. That's crazy stuff. But if it's cached up and sitting there in your browser, who cares? You don't need to download it again and again and again. So that'd be kind of cool. And there was my app, right? And it's injected and it's put in my content. Let's take a look at the network tab. I'm going to reload the page so you can see it loading. Now, this isn't optimized. This is still extremely experimental. Asp Net Home has 6,700 stars. Blazor already has 1,100 stars. Are you kidding? Blazor has 1,100 stars? Holy crow, look at that. Blazor has 1,100 stars. Even if not exact, these statistics have meaning and they show your support for ASP.NET products like Blazor. You're right, Chris. Thank you. So let's take a look at everything that it's downloading, right? So here, right, it's going and getting my HTML page, that index HTML, and it's a 304. I've already got it here. It gets Mono.js, it gets Mono WASM, right? So that's, right, if we look at the response, yeah, it's all binary goo there. Oh, that's fine. Right, let's slide that back over. Then it starts bringing in, right, there's my DLL that I built. And then there's references for all the different .NET things that are being referenced, right? Even net standard in there. That's kind of cool. System I/O compression, system net HTTP. So I wonder if you could run an HTTP client GET from .NET in there. Look at that, even XML link and XPath. So I guess we need those so we can traverse the HTML document. But this is, I mean, 17.5 meg to just run this little bit. Yeah, that's a little overkill. This is early. Nothing's compressed. Nothing is optimized. All right, let me go back over to the code. So that's neat. It has a little component that it's loading, and that's hosted in ASP Net. I want to show you this one. I started taking a look at Mono Sanity. So this one, right? So if we look at the startup for this one, there's a live demo app if people want to play around with it on their own in the browser. Yes, right? Coming back over here, there is a link. There's a simple live Blazor app right here. You can click that link, and it's Blazor Demo GitHub. And this is all running in the browser, okay? So this is only downloading 2.15 meg, all right? But I've already got some of these things cached here. And it's running this stuff, right? It's running it client side. Fetch data. It just went and fetched data, right, and populated and formatted. Let's see. I would Nightbot would be mad. Oh, let's do this. CDN for the DLLs. That's a great idea, standby reloading, right? Get these things, those DLLs pushed out to a CDN, then everybody has them cached. Yes. Look, system runtime is only 13K here, right? And come here. Why won't you let me? I want to see some of these other ones. Right? System runtime extension, system threading, right? Console system collections, 5.5. So, and regarding Nightbot, Nightbot's time is on this stream is it's coming to an end. I was speaking to my friend Rich Ross yesterday. I actually have, if you look back on the live stream here, I've actually got a date for its demise. We are going to be building a moderation bot here on the 20th that will replace Nightbot. We'll call it Fritzbot or something funny. I don't know. So it's coming. All right. How I see the immediate game, but it could go anywhere really. Whole new SPA frameworks, game engines. Yes. Yes. Actually, surprised that the browser on your PC doesn't freak out from downloading and loading DLLs. You're not. That's a good question, but it's XHR, right? It's bringing them down into the browser, and it's not executing it directly, right? WASM is loading it up and running it, right? So it's already okay on that. So, but I think you're right. There might need to be a security thing there or something. Same origin type thing, right? To ensure that it isn't hijacked. All right, let me go over and I want to look at the next one, this Monosanity one. So Monosanity has a program, right? It's loading Asp Net Core. It's going to load up the Kestrel web server. And inside my startup, developer exception page, use file server options. So it'll actually serve these things without actually having to, configure the full, all the default pages and that stuff. And then use Blazor pointing to Monosanity client. So Monosanity client, right? Look at this. WebAssembly runtime CS. What is this? So look at that right there. It's an extern, right? We remember how to do extern, right? That's how, if you wanted to call a local DLL, you set these things up. So invoke.js array. And we have examples that it's going to load. So add numbers, repeat string, trigger exception. I mean, this is a static class. Twitch might have considered the whisper as spam. No. There we go. So if we take a look at our index.html that this one's going to load, I've got a field set with all these different features here, adding numbers, repeat a string, trigger an exception, call JavaScript from .NET. And down here, excuse me, a init mono, and it's passing in the DLL to initialize. Okay. Get documents by tag name button. And all right, so it's looking for that button. So it's got the collection of buttons. What's it actually doing? Okay, so it's saying, oh, after it finishes loading mono, enable the buttons. Are there any, let's see, oh boy. CDN, it had to try to whisper. Are there any projects that are working on compiling IL to WASM? I think that's what the Blazor compiler is doing here, right? We're actually getting the DLL coming out and it's loading it up. I did link first is probably blah blah blah. All right, cool. The Mad Dave, thank you for following. I appreciate that. And hello, Steve. Good to see you again. All right, so add numbers on submit, event prevent default. Okay, so it's converting both of the numbers into integers. And then look at this, invoke mono method. Monosanity client, so that's monosanity client. Examples, right? So this is actually the assembly name. This is the namespace. It's going to go find the examples class, and it's going to call add numbers, and it's going to do this on the client. I got to run this. All right, set this as the startup project, and I'm going to run it like that. I'm a simple man. I see C sharp, and I follow. Easy for me to say. No problem, man. Dave, I appreciate you joining in there in the chat room. I look forward to answering your questions. All right, so check this out, right? This is that simple, right? This is that simple index HTML page. Let's get rid of all these other things, right? So let's take a look, right? Simple HTML field sets. We're used to seeing these things, but text boxes. And when I click go, if I'm reading this right, so where is it? Add numbers. This one right here. So add numbers on submit. So prevent the default, and it's going to call and actually execute inside that C sharp. I got to open my developer tools here because I need to see that. Let me reload the page. So check that out right there. It did a get on monosanity client, and it grabbed 5K of that DLL. All these other things are already cached in my browser for me. And once again, not optimized, just hanging out there. I think, and I'm willing to bet, these are things that monosanity client is referencing. Okay, so clicking this, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if I click go, it executed that, right? It did not go get that from somewhere else. It did not execute any JavaScript, right? Where's my, let's look at Debugger. Ooh, this looks different. Index, right? If I go down here, right? It did this invoke mono method and executed that, right, in C sharp, right? And of course, if I change this to something else, right? I mean, big deal, I added numbers, but I did it in C sharp. Repeat string, right? That's this one here, and it's calling repeat string, and it's passing in, whatever the string is, and then that count number. So where's that at? Let's take a look over here. Okay, so there's the string, there's the count. So this array that it's passing in, so we created an array, and we're passing in the 2 arguments as the elements of that array, right? So JavaScript, dynamic typing, and it's pushing them into here and getting that lined up, and of course it's just doing result append however many times, right? So I could change that to 5 and just make this high with a space, and then, okay, simple, right? I mean, big deal. Trigger exception, throw invalid operation exception with a message. Okay, so let's find that one. Trigger exception. So on submit of that button, prevent default message, it's going to grab the value of that text box, invoke mono method, monosanity client, blah, 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 and it passes in that argument. Trigger exception message, stack trace value equals warning, no exception occurred. But check this out. If it raises the .NET exception, right? We're raising a .NET exception over here. Think about this. It's going to jump, right? It's going to jump into a JavaScript exception, and it should get caught here and dumped into the text box. Hello, Fritz and friends. Go. Okay, right? And it gave me the .NET stack trace. I mean, okay, this hash, I don't know what that is. Maybe we have a debugger that we can attach and actually go through and look at that. Yes! Can I copy line 82 from the web debugger? Where's line 82? 82. Invoke method. Oh my gosh. Let's do it. I mean, here, you know, let's put a break method there. This is in the repeat, right? So I'm going to change this to, right, whatever. Change this to 2. Look, right, I'm at a break there, and there's an array of arguments that it's going to pass in. And there it is. What happens, right, let's do a little bit more breaking here, right? And this is the way I learn. I just start breaking things. Let's do things that it's not expecting to do. So I'm going to go... Let me go right here. You know what? No, we'll move you over there a little bit. Right, let's just tinker with the JavaScript console for a second. Right? So invoke method, blah, 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 repeat string, and you know what? Let's, right, instead of making it string count, let's turn it around and see what happens. 5 high, and just, right? So it just kind of swallowed that. It didn't actually... Right? If I look at... Wow! Alright, so Mono.js on line 13, stack trace abort, stack background execution. So, holy crow. Module, call method, invoke mono method. So, it looks like it didn't give us information there about, hey, dummy, you have these in the wrong order. But if I do put these in the right order, right? So that doesn't look quite right, does it? Let's go back to the debugger. So, okay, it gets a result and it's gonna drop that in over there. But where did it go? Right? Should this be real quotes? There it goes. Okay. Right? Stuff. Alright. So we have a way to reach back and call a method inside of, right? And this is a static call, right? Into one of these so we can build and work on things. Interesting. Let's look at the next ones here. So call JavaScript from .NET, right? So this is just going to call location href, and it's outputting that's my location. What's it actually doing there? Let's look at that one. So not trigger exception. So call JS. So invoke method, monosanity client, examples, evaluate JavaScript, and then it's going to pass in whatever our expression is, which is, I guess, right, whatever's inside that box. So let's look at monosanity client, evaluate JavaScript. So that's this one here. Runtime, so that's WebAssembly runtime, invoke JavaScript array, and so let's see, invoke JS array, outstring exception, string the function name, and then a parameters object. Okay. So it's going to invoke JS array, and it's going to call evaluate JS expression. Let's go back over here. Invoke JS array. So the function name it's executing is, yeah, my single quote ended the repeat string. That's what it was. Let's see here. So this, right, is going to call evaluate JS expression and pass that over. So where's evaluate JS expression over here somewhere? Let's see. There it is. Blazor registered functions. Evaluate JS expression, eval, .NET string to JavaScript string. Okay. If result is null or it's undefined, Pass through so we can verify. Otherwise, JavaScript string to .NET string. Cool. So, right? I mean, I'm literally passing my JavaScript through. It's being executed here on the client. The JavaScript result is being passed back to result, and that's what's being passed over here. Right? So we've gone full circle. We're executing .NET code in the browser that's executing JavaScript code and getting that result. Right? We're wrapping the call to the JavaScript code. Right? So I could say, right, 4 plus 4. Right? So it's, right, whatever this JavaScript is, that's pretty cool. Right? Can I say window.title? Oops. Can I say document.title? Look at that. Who needs SignalR? You're going to want to have server-side interactions. You're going to want to get that push from the server. And that's being executed in the browser. Yeah. Right? There is no... Right? Let's reload this. Right? Nothing is going back to the server. Right? Nothing went back to the server. That's so cool. Let's do this. Can we do this? Right? So I'm going to stop this. Evaluate JavaScript. Can I do a can I do a console.log from over here? You know what I mean? Ooh, what is this? Hang on. Right, this is just returning text from this method, but I want to actually execute console.log in the middle of this. So let's just try it. Invoke JS. Okay, so nah. Just fly by the seat of our pants. Out var my exception. Okay. Console.log. Yeah, right? Hello from .NET. Let's see if that works. Right? And then do I really need these other things? What's this grumpy about? Cannot be inferred from the usage. Fine. And then the type of the result, string. Let's see what that does. Ooh. And that should be executed in the browser, right? Because I'm doing console log. Right? So look at, there's Kestrel running. That was this one right here. So I'm going to open my console again, and everything else go away. So do that. It didn't write out to the console. So something's right. Let me. Will it actually hit that? No. No, won't hit it yet. What if? No. Andre Costa, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Look forward to seeing you in the chat room. So it didn't actually execute this. Why? Where's that going? Let's try the next one. Let's see what's going on there. Haxified, welcome. I appreciate the follow. Gosh, what's going on over here? Anything? Nope. Okay. Let's see. Maybe I need a rebuild. I did rebuild. I did rebuild and reran it. And oh, I'm at full screen here. Let me bring this over so... There we go. So, let's take a look at this one, because I want to call this invoke.js. Let's tinker with that one for a second. All right, so that's the last one here. Call JS from .NET, no boxing. Okay. So it's just calling... divide numbers unmarshaled. All right, so it's taking those numbers, and it's going to jam them in... Well, it's going to call this method in JavaScript. Oh, wait a sec. Evaluate JS expression. All right, hang on. Can I turn word warp on? Can I turn word wrap on? Sure, I'll turn on word wrap. There we go. All right. So let's... Is this... Nope, it's not gonna... It's not gonna... feels bad, man. All right, so this is going to call this method. And... yeah. Instead of console log hello from .NET, just put console log, and the next parameter pass hello from .NET. Yeah, look at that. All right, let's do that. So I will get rid of this. Come on. Oh, it's running. I need to stop. All right, so grab that. Hello from .NET. Let's see if that works. Build. All right, and open that. So there's my debugger. You go away. I'm going to scroll down to call JavaScript from .NET. No. It's not writing it out there. Hey, did someone tell me I look a bit like Leonardo DiCaprio? No. Are you saying that because I should be fighting a bear? No. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So, let's take a look at this one first, and we'll go back to our console log here. So, 28 divided by 4, if I run that, .NET received 7. Okay, so that method is calling invoke.js int object. Okay, so invoke.js, right, that's this external one here. Invoke.js. Type 0, type 1, type 2, type result. Okay. So here's the function name, argument 0, argument 1. Okay. I want him to drown. No! Come back, Jack! Come back! No. Don't show it. This is somebody else's code. I feel like I need to change... I feel like I need to change this one to a string. Maybe? If that one's a... Ugh. Will that work? Standby reloading. Oh, what did we do there? Mono, Jeff Mono. And I'm saving a sad song in the background. If Inception is real, can we stack overflow? Let's see if that changes anything. A Stack Overflow in Inception. All right, F12. I should close some of these other things. Go away. Close this. Nope, I'm not getting console log popping out here. Well, it's calling evaluate.js expression. Evaluate.js expression, right? That lives somewhere over here. Where's the find window? Invoke mono method, .NET string. Trigger.js exception. No. There it is. Evaluate.js expression. So what if we call evaluate.js expression and we pass in console.log to that? Right, so let's change this to invoke.js array. Okay, and then we're gonna call evaluate.js expression, and then here we'll do console log. Do I not have my types lined up here? Oh! Gosh, only one type? And it's the type of the result. Alright. But then my stuff... gave you a 20% lookalike to Brett Ratner. Alright, so let's see if that actually works, that console log. Right, because it would be great if my console, if I could log to the console from .NET. Right, let's trash that. Go. It worked. Okay. That's interesting, right? Because now I'm logging stuff to the web browser console from the running .NET code, right? And nothing went back and forth to the server, right? Right, let's change this to, let's try document title again. Watch over here on the server, nothing was executed over here, and it outputted hello from .NET a second time. Let's change this. The time is, and then, oh man, this is gonna bake my noodle. I'm gonna do .NET string interpolation inside of what I'm generating for a JavaScript command. Oh, that's crazy. Freditor, thank you for the follow. And need an extension for that. I agree, standby reloading. That feels very extension worthy. Alright, so I'm going to open back up the debugger, close that, run this again. Look at that. Okay, so now I'm executing .NET code in the browser, and I'm executing .NET code to populate the string that I'm submitting over to my JavaScript command to log to the console. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. Papal Jupe? Papeljupe? Is that how you pronounce it? I know, my head hurts, but Papeljupe, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. And Crystality, thank you for the follow. Oh my gosh. It's a follow party here on this fine Saturday. Okay, so I'm executing .NET code in the browser, passing it to JavaScript, and telling the JavaScript to be executed from my .NET code. All right. So those other samples. So that's the Monosanity sample. There's a couple of test apps down here. Let's see what these ones are. Let's close all these other things out here. I like having a tidy Visual Studio. What's over here? Blazor platform. Find method. Think about this. Think about this with me for a second. If Blazor gets to be a TypeScript thing, we could generate DTS files to go into your TypeScript from our C#. Do I have a CS degree? I do not have a computer science degree. I actually have a management sciences and information systems degree. How's that for weird? All right. And there's a little thing from my blue here. That's better. So I went the business side of computing. Sorry to hear that, Crystality. I have thought about going back and getting a master's in computer science, but no, I don't have a computer science degree. I'm just a guy who taught himself how to write code. I think Steve Sanderson talked about the TS thingy on live Asp Net. He did. He did talk a little bit about that. So this is saying find method in basic test app. That's the name of this. Program mount test component. Okay, so he's going down into program, and he's looking for mount test component. All right. And it's going to look for a specific component type name. Going to go find it and add that component to replace the app object. So this bit right here. Many of us learned to write code, then we went and got the degree. Lots of magic strings going on. You're right. There's a lot of that right now. I bet you could probably do some of this with some name of magic, but still, you're going to run into some magic strings. What university? What university did I attend? Looking. I went to Penn State University, home of the Fighting Nittany Lions. There you go. And yes, I do have Channel 9, guys. And my look-alike. Maybe? Me and Doctor Strange? Alright. My kids think I look like Doctor Strange. Alright. Where was I? So, yes, lots of magic strings here, but Blazor platform call method. So it's going to find that method in our C#, and it's going to call it from our JavaScript here. Cool. Blazor platform 2.NET string type name. All right. What do we got here? Ah, nice. I'm going to try to get into UPenn for your master's. Cool. Go for it. Master's degree at UPenn. If you're going for business, of course, that's the Wharton School. Everybody knows about the Wharton School. And the Wharton School, to those of us in tech in Philly, those are those people who have no idea about
technology, and they've got an idea, and they're just looking for a couple people to write a little bit of code for them. So UPenn's a great school, downtown Philadelphia. All right, let me take a peek over here, see what's going on. All right. Everything's quiet on Twitter. So, looks like it's going to... Oh, look at this. All right, so the components, I guess, it's going to load are these CSHTMLs. Okay. So it's going to go get that CSHTML and then add that. Let's see what this looks like. So set this one as the startup project, and I will run that one. Going for a CS with machine learning. Cool. We'll see if you get in. Best of luck to you. All right, so this app is loading up. And where is it? Request failed with a 404 trying to get framework WASM mono JS. You know what? I bet that not that one. I would have thought it would have brought it in. Just the source map. Oh, it's just the map. Okay. You're right. But still, it's kind of hanging here, right? Let's go over here. So, can I invoke... Can I say mount test component? And let's try saying mount test component message component. Hey, look at that. What was it? Message component. Ew. Must implement iComponent. So these aren't... So these aren't components. These are just CSHTML files. So I don't actually have a component here to load. Yeah. Let's look at this. See what some of these other ones are referencing. I don't see it. I don't see how this one's going to run. This basic test app. Right, because these are all CSHTMLs. They aren't actually iComponents. But that was weird, because if we think back to our sample, saying we get a 404. Where do you see the 404? Over here. Well, that's on the mono.js map. Parameter name component type. Let's look at that. Yeah, this thing that it's trying to load. But I thought in our standalone up here, add component home, and home is right there, and that clearly isn't implementing iComponent, right? There's fake component in that project. Fake component. Fake component. In render test, so what? right? This is inside of Asp Net Core Blazor Test, right? This is clearly adding class standalone app.home. Standalone app doesn't have a home type sitting here. Somehow it's referencing this thing. Right, and if we look at the dependencies here, it's not referencing or pulling in anything else. It is very interesting. I'm not quite sure what I need to do with this yet. And I can clearly run... Right, alright, so if I right-click on this one and I say go to definition... So this is... Is this what Blazor build is generating? Let's take a look at this. Yeah. Reference from source.props. Rikonem? Is that how you pronounce it? Welcome. I appreciate the follow. So the home type, right? Shoot. Right? This is coming in, right? This is the stuff that's generated when that Razor page is built, right? I mean, this is what happens. So let me get rid of this. Well, let me get rid of it. I'm in the middle of debugging, that's why. So if I look at over here, dependencies, so Blazor, Blazor browser, Blazor build. Okay. So let's look at the source of this one. And it is still doing that Blazor build. Project reference, okay, so browser, Blazor browser CS proj. So Blazor is generating a type from the CS HTML. Yes. Right, that's what's going on here. This is being compiled. But it doesn't look like it's being compiled inside of this one. Right, so basic test app has all that. But standalone app, where's that edit? There it is. .NET Core app, run project, Blazor dev host serve, good. Import project, Asp Net Core Blazor build. Oh, there it is down there. Reference from source.props. Yeah. So that's being imported into both. And then it's referencing Blazor browser and Blazor browser and Blazor CS proj. So it's literally got the same content in the CS proj file. Okay. Is there something in the launch settings? Hi, what is Blazor? Hi, Hansi. Hansi, is that how you pronounce that? Hansi557. Blazor is a technology that lets us write .NET code and have it executed inside our browser using WebAssembly technology. So let me go back to this hosted in ASP.NET, And let me set this back as the startup page. Hang on. Stop that. Let's go hosted in Asp Net server. You know what? No. I'll do the standalone. Right? Set this one as the startup. So this is literally an HTML file that's referencing an Asp Net Razor template. And this is being all executed on the server. I'm sorry, on the browser. And it'll work inside of any browser. And we get a different time. And that's being built and hosted by this thing. Right? It's a simple template that has some .NET code in it executing. Have a look at component rendering test CS. Component rendering test .cs. Okay. Oh, look at that. So this is actually running the end-to-end test. Oh, so, right, this could be running the Selenium bits. Right, so by default there's some Selenium that comes with this package that you can run to execute this stuff. Can trigger events on child components. Oh, there you go. Mount test component. Counter component wrapper. Where is that? Basic test app. Yeah. Counter component wrapper. So there's some stuff going on here that's building and laying this out. Right, so I should be able to use that. Come back to it. So Maher gets an exception when trying to run hosted in Asp Net client. You shouldn't be running that directly. You should run hosted in Asp Net server, and it'll load the client because the client needs to run on that mono runtime. So, right, what Blazor is doing is it's loading all of these components into mono that's being hosted as a WebAssembly, so all of our C# can execute. This is really, really high-end stuff. But we're writing simple code, and it just works in the browser. So, let me go back to... But Basic Test App right now doesn't have the dependencies. Well... I don't have Java installed to be able to run all of the tests. Let me set this one as the startup project. And then let me try invoking and using the counter component wrapper. Because something's building that, and it's not clear to me what it is. Right, so what was it we were looking at over here inside... Not standalone, inside Basic Test App in our index.html. So we have mount test component, and it was counter component wrapper. Nope, that didn't work either. Right, what was... No. Yeah, counter component wrapper. Nope, that didn't work. Okay. Maybe Basic Test App is like the client app and needs to be hosted by one of the other test apps. Could be. So the end-to-end test here, if we look at the dependencies on this one, yeah, there it is. Let's try running this. Debug. Yeah, start. Let's see what it does. Because look at this, it's referencing all the other projects. Where'd it go? I don't think it did anything. Let's see. Nope, it just died right away. That's not it. Oh, you know what? Let's go back. To run the test, you run .NET Test, test/test name, whatever test. Or you can run the full. So let's do this. I'm going to copy that. I know. What? Hello, I am learning C# from the book C# 7 in a nutshell. So far, so good. But I have a question. I want to get into web development, either ASP.NET or ASP.NET Core. What are the most important concepts and features? I know you didn't post a link, but it sees ASP.NET as a link. Just drop the dot in the middle of it. But I see your question. Where was I? Most important concepts and features required to use ASP.NET and ASP.NET Core. The book is 1,000 pages long, so I don't want to get into too much, don't want to get in too deep, because it might be unnecessary for web development. Regarding C# features that you need to learn to be a good developer. You can get away with learning the basic structures. I mean, you need to learn what classes are, methods are. Don't worry about getting into events too much. If we only know somebody who has an ASP.NET Core book, yeah. You know, yeah. But learn a little bit about class structure. Learn a little bit about interface, because you're going to want to do interfaces and abstract classes. You're going to want to be able to implement some hierarchy there. You're going to be implementing, you're going to be implementing controllers. And the basic block structures. Learn how to write an if statement, a for statement, a while statement. Is it possible for me to learn a little bit about C# and then pivot to ASP.NET Core? Yes. There's a lot to learn about C#, just learn more over time. Yep. You'll be learning for a long time. Don't expect to be a master today. Yes. 1,000 pages is a lot to learn. It takes a while to learn all of those things. So I'm going to run this .NET test and see what it actually runs. So I'm going to go down into, right, if I do that, yeah. So what are my tests that I can run that are here inside my test project? Let's run right? Let's run Microsoft ASP.NET Core Blazor.test. So Microsoft ASP.NET Core Blazor.test. That feels bad. What's inside test? I think I need to paste that. Maybe? Well, that's kind of cool. It ran tests. It didn't show me anything. I mean, I'm not. How about link? Link's not bad. Get past the basic concepts of object-oriented structures, classes, interfaces, abstract classes. Link is just a fun way to make working with collections of objects easier. You're learning about delegates and events at the moment. Delegates and events, most folks don't use in C# server-side web development. You don't see a lot of it. Link and lambda expressions are great, but I'd first start with all the control flow elements first. Link becomes more performant on .NET Core.
It does. It does. So what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing that it runs these tests, but that's no fun. It doesn't let me actually drop into it. Yeah. So I think that's all I want to do with Blazor, though, today. We've gone through, we've looked at some of the samples and how it's actually calling some of this code on the server. I want to go back into this standalone app, and I want to tinker with this just a little bit. If Home knows how to load and execute some of the .NET code like this, what if I create a tag helper in here and start referencing it? Would it actually use that? You know what I mean? Because, right, my standalone app, it isn't referencing... It's not referencing Razor here. So if I went to create... Right, and it's not doing... Okay, hang on. Do you think Asp Net Core and Angular is a good combo? It's an amazing combination. Check out Asp Net Core and JavaScript services. In fact, so I'm going to stop with Blazor here, and I'm going to answer Hansy's question there about Asp Net Core and Angular right now. Check this out. Here's what you can do. If you say File New Project, and this also, you know what? If you do File New Project and you choose to build a Asp Net Core web application, and you put it where these good things belong, Angular stuff, there is a template for this, so you can have it built and available for you. I'll go you one further. Angular stuff for Hansy. CD into that. You can say, when you have the .NET SDK, you can say .NET New Angular. Not -T. And it'll build using that same Angular template right here. So let me do my npm install so I get all my Angular goo. Type ASP.NET, everyone, just leave off the dot. Yep. You'll be using TypeScript, which is similar to C#, so it's a good combination. Yes. Brisk just stopped in and said hello. What would I suggest to learn? ASP.NET Code, you mean Core, or Angular and React? So Brisk, yeah, there's a bot that's can I configure Nightbot to skip the link ASP.NET? Let's, while that's doing its thing, doing the dance of joy with npm and downloading stuff. Let me go into Nightbot. Log in with Twitch. Yeah, I'm over here already. All right, come on. What's under here? Blacklist words, phrases, links. Allows you to timeout and whitelist links. Fantastic. I want to whitelist a link. ASP.NET. Alright, go ahead and try typing ASP.NET again. Somebody in the Twitch chat room. Wonder if MS would think their decision to name their framework .NET would cause bots to go crazy 18 years later. Tell me about it. Well, Brendan, you're on the whitelist here. There we go. Fantastic. It works! Excess caps. Can I do this? Maximum length of time will time out users. Minimum number of caps posted before Nightbot will punish. I'm going to push that out a little bit. Yes. That's fine. Excess symbols.
using excess symbols. Let's I'll give you a little bit more room here to play. Excess caps. Yeah, that one's fine. All right, there we go. So I dialed There we go. Nightbot doesn't control mixers, so you can do whatever you want there, and it's just Chris. Yeah. All right, so let me see. My Angular goo should all be restored by now. Fantastic. Look at that. 692 packages in 43 seconds. It's amazing. All right, where was I? Want to know if they'll skip C# 9 and go straight to C# 10? No. No. In fact, there are discussions right now going on about C# 8. So, let's take a look at this Angular app here for Hansi. I'm actually going to use Visual Studio Code to show some of the features for this. So let me dock C# Visual Studio Code over here. Sure, go ahead. Give me some cool icons. There we go. So Visual Studio Code, completely open source editor, completely free, available for you to download. Code.visualstudio.com. C# Vista 2nd edition. Now, cut that out! Alright, let's download and get some of the configuration. So VS Code will put some stuff down here so it knows how to launch and manage the application. But this is ASP.NET Core. It looks and feels like... Stop it! Looks and feels just like it, but it also has things in here like hot module replacement. Right? You're used to seeing that with Angular, but we've got hot module replacement for you as you're building your Angular code right here. So, and then we've got our TypeScript config, so it knows how to build and use Webpack. And there was a question about, hey, can I use a different tool to pack instead of Webpack? You can, but you're going to need to edit your project file. Where is it? Here. Here's your project file. To tell it exactly how to call and pack and build the project, right? So there's how it calls Webpack. So if you wanted to do something else, you're going to need to swap this out. Your mileage may vary swapping that out. All right. So, if you take a look at this, right, so ASP.NET Core, when you navigate to the home page, it actually goes to Home Index, and check out what comes into Home Index. You have an app tag. There is no app tag. There is no tag helper for app. It's actually going to load up, right, your main client JS, which is actually going to be sitting under your dub root. It's going to create a dist underneath there. But if you look at what that's going to be, it's going to be some of this goo that is going to put together. So all of your stuff under your client app is where your Angular stuff lives. So, right? Yeah. Right, so app shared modules. So you see here's the components it's bringing in. And where is it? So there's app component, right? App component under here. There's my, there you go. Add component selector app, so it's going to swap out that app element. This is .NET New Angular, correct. And right there's my template URL and my style CSS, just like you're used to seeing in Angular if you were doing normal Angular stuff. But here's the best part. This acts and behaves like an Angular universal app. Not only will it serve this stuff for client-side interaction, but it'll also compile it up and execute it on the server. So check this out, right? I'm going to go back over here, and I'm just going to execute on the command line. You can certainly, from within Visual Studio Code, you can actually do right? I believe you can do a debug, start debugging, or hit F5, and it'll actually start debugging, and hit the debugger inside your code here. Here we go. See, and check it out. It's going to run a Webpack build for you, right? Look at that. We're used to seeing that if you're an Angular developer. That might feel good. That might feel dirty to you, depending on which side of the train tracks you live on.
But look at this. I'm in a debug console and I can see everything the debugger is doing from Visual Studio Code. And it's going to navigate. And I'm going to get, right, an Angular application that's running here inside the browser. And it's doing all this with JavaScript. So, to the point that folks were asking about earlier, what if instead of using JavaScript as my spa with Angular over here, what if you could use .NET and ASP.NET with Razor? That's pretty cool. There's some folks out there that are actually experimenting with using XAML over here. Now that's crazy. That's just crazy talk. But you can do it. Choose your poison that works best for you, right? If you're comfortable with Angular, go for it. If you're comfortable with React, go for that too. Choose what works best for you. Let me go back to the files and check this out. I'm going to go back into this counter. And here's my Angular TypeScript. Current count equals 0. Let's start that at 10. And let's say plus equals 50. Save that. And I didn't even have to reload my browser. It did the hot module reloading. You saw some of the text go by in the background. And if I increment, it's incrementing by 50s. Okay? So it's executing that TypeScript on the client side in the browser, but it will also do it on the server side. Federico Dynamite, you're debugging both the server-side ASP.NET code and the Angular JavaScript in the same debug session. Oh, yes. Right? Check this out. I'm going to put a breakpoint right there. Why isn't that running? You know what? I'm not attached to the browser, am I? Right? No symbols are loaded. So I have to attach to the browser also. How do I attach to the browser from VS Code? Sources, dist. I know you can do this from full Visual Studio. I don't know how to do it from Visual Studio Code. Debug. Debugger for Chrome. I don't have it attached. Well, that'll just... Debug menu. Fantastic. All right, let's try that again. Look at that. So now I've got... Come on. Come on. You can do it. All right, let me go back over to counter so I can increment that, but it's not hitting this. I think there's my debug console. Where is it to... Can I add a configuration? Chrome attach. Ooh. Sure. That, okay, whatever. That looks fine. So now can I pull this down and attach to Chrome? Did it attach? Is it actually attached to it? No. Do you have to restart VS Code to install the Chrome debugger session? I don't think so. Cannot connect to runtime process. Okay. So I tried just attach to Chrome. Right? Web root equals... Oh, you know what? It shouldn't just be workspace folder. Right? It should also be slash... dub root, right? Right? That's my web root for that. Try that one more time. Nah, not gonna get there. Feels bad. Probably have to relaunch Chrome from VS Code. Well, I'm not running Chrome. There's a problem. Add configuration. Chrome launch. Sure. Let's see if... Let me pull that one down. Launch Chrome. Go. Yeah. Alright. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this from full Visual Studio, because I know it does work over there. So, Angular stuff, here we go. Open this one. Alright, so I'm going to go into Client App. I'm going to go into App, Components. Where was it? Counter? Is that where we were working? And I'm going to put a breakpoint right there. And I'm going to run this using the command line. Let's see what this does. Oh, that's the rest of my coffee. Oh, feels bad. All right. So, while this is loading, 8080 on Chrome, but at Firefox I had 5000. Yeah, I know. Okay, so that's not working either. Now I feel shame. It was working. Alright, let's do this. Let's do this. Stop. Web browser. Let's turn off Firefox and let's go to Chrome, because we know there's a Chrome debugger attached over there. Browser link. Nah, not browser link. Let's see what happens over here this time. Yeah, wrong port on Chrome. I know! Ugh. Zoom in much? Thank you. Alright, here we go. That's not working either. Right. Chrome. Enable JavaScript debugging. Where the heck is that? No. No. Ugh. Try that again. What about debug point on the JavaScript? You should be able to put it on the TypeScript, and it should jump through because it's all properly mapped. Right? It's an amazing experience if it'll load properly for me. Come on. All right. So if I go through to here, increment, there we go. So it's attached. It's executing this on the client side. It's mapped through to my TypeScript. And can I see a call stack? I can see a call stack. How cool is that? I mean, that's the entire Angular call stack up to this point. All right. I know, Federico. It is. Right? So let's really bake your noodle. I'm going to go over to the fetch data. I'm going to go into the TypeScript here. Check this out. So this one in the sample, this is a default, and it's showing you how to do a RESTful fetch. It's going to go reach out to API sample data weather forecasts. I'm going to put a break on that. Okay? API sample data weather forecasts is actually this right here. There's the weather forecast. I'm going to put a breakpoint right there. And now I'm going to click on fetch data. And I'm hitting a breakpoint in my TypeScript where it's going to go fetch this data. All right. So let's click continue. And it stops now server side on that data. How cool is that? That's pretty cool. So I've landed server side, and now I could step out and have it actually return and go through the code, and there it is painted over there. I want this in my life. So Visual Studio Community Edition, if you want to get your hands on Visual Studio, right? Where is it? Visual Studio IDE Community is free for hobbyists, folks that want to learn. Visual Studio Code is always free for folks, and there is a way to do this exact same client-side, server-side attach and get it working. But Visual Studio Code works on Mac, Linux, and Windows, all right? So, and that's just the sample bits, right? Now, for the workshop, we're going to go through and do some of this as part of one of the hours during that. So that would be cooler if you didn't need to set the breakpoint in C# and just F11 into it. Wait for it. Oh, I shut down. That's what happened. Hold that thought. I do have VS Heavy, but I'd like to do the scuffier stuff in VS Code. It does. Yeah, there's a thing I'm missing there. My friend Suze Hinton calls the music we're playing here extremely chill. All right, so I'm going to click into Fetch Data, and we should hit. There it is. So I'm in my JavaScript, right? So I'm just going to step through. I just hit F11. Do you want to normalize? No. So now I'm in the vendor. It's going to do the requests. Yeah, it's getting all the merge options. Yeah. All right, come on. Putting the method together. All right, fine already. Yep, get the map, blah, 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 blah. This is annoying. I don't want to get out of vendor CS, because if I do, I'm going to be at my return. Where it's actually... Yeah. So here it's about to do the HTTP request. Here's the new XHR request. Oh, stop it! Oh my gosh. There we go. New XHR connection. Just get the stupid thing. Yeah. I don't see it actually making the jump to the server. So what it's doing is it's keeping me in the... Yeah, I'm at this point way deep in the JavaScript. Right, it's not making that jump. Maybe I could do a run to here in JavaScript. No. Right, if I right-click here and said... so let me refresh that. There we go. So it did a run to here on that. Continue. Right, and there I am. So you're right, run to there works. Yeah, this was efficient. Can you do a run to here? Yeah, okay, there we go. So, right, so you can mix and match these together was my point of showing this quick demo. Right? Yeah, it is very cool stuff. Predator. Do you fight aliens? Predator versus aliens? No. You fight aliens. Ah! Okay. Damn, I'm out of coffee. Feels bad, man. All right, so that's a little bit about Angular and Asp Net Core. Let me see, anything else going on out here that I need to be aware of? I don't think so. I think that's all I really wanted to do today around Blazor. Just take a quick tour and see what was going on with it. There is tooling being worked on that integrates great with Visual Studio. I don't think it's out here in the marketplace. Online, let's see if there's a Blazor. I don't think there's anything here. No. But they are working on tooling and to be able to make that easier to debug and build some of these things that are going on in here. Wow, Chris put together a list of links? Whoa. If I could do this with a .NET Framework app that's at 4.6, I could do this right away. Wait for Mads to make a Visual Studio extension. So Mads is actually now, he's not working on web tools. He's now the head of Visual Studio extensibility. So he's actually he's driving a little bit more about how you can extend Visual Studio. But with a .NET Framework app that's at 4.6. So here's the thing. I'm going to go back to that Blazor project for a second. And we'll wait for this to bake your noodles. Now this is a more reasonable time to be online. Oh! You wound me. You get to have breakfast with Jeff. Let's see here. So the source, right? If we take a look at Blazor, look at that right there. This is a .NET Standard 2 class library, right? And let's even take a look at this one. .NET Standard 2. .NET Core for the browser JavaScript stuff, right? Here's the build stuff. .NET Core. .NET Core. But Blazor itself and the common features, right? So here, let me go to Mono. .NET Standard. .NET Core. So what you're seeing is that the Blazor libraries, the features to host Blazor features in the browser are .NET Standard. So at some point, you better believe I'm going to be nudging the folks working on Blazor and saying, okay, how do we activate this from web forms? Right? If I want to start hosting some of that client-side goodness. I guess I need to look at the chart again to see where 4.6 falls in relation to .NET Standard. Well, here, let's take a look. That's not the right one. Let's take a quick look. GitHub, .NET Standard. Where is it? Docs. Versions. Here we go. Interactive table. So if you're running .NET 4.6, you're only on .NET Standard 1.3. If you can upgrade to .NET Standard 4.6.1, you can consume the 2.0 libraries. So you can do this with 4.6, but the problem is the SPA services. You could build something simple yourself that will intercept the request and run Webpack, but that would be like as much work as migrating to Core 2. It's a little bit crazy, yeah. Do you think it's reasonable to mix Blazor and .NET Core MVC in the same project? Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Let's see. We're real early with Blazor, not even in alpha. Absolutely. Do not think you're going to put Blazor into a project and you're going to get full Microsoft support. There is zero support on this. It is strictly an experiment. Test it out, see if it does something that would help you, and then collaborate with us. Let us know what you think. Tell us what would be valuable there. If you do decide to use it and extend it and add features to it, we'd appreciate you sharing those features back to the team. But you're on your own. This is concept. We're going in this direction. You're on your own until we get a full version of this thing running. All right? At some point, we may decide to make it into a product. If we get enough feedback that says, yes, make this into a fully supported product, we'll go in that direction. Or we'll donate it to the open source community and say, you know what, this isn't something that we want to make a product, but we want you folks to have the source code. There's a couple different options we can go to with that. It's not my call. There's lots of things that could be done, but it's been released as open source. Worst case scenario, the source code's out there and it stays frozen the way it is. Go to the repo, start and watch the repo. Yes. Great point, Chris. If you think Blazor is cool and you want to support it, that's not Asp Net. GitHub.com, ASP.NET/Blazor. Throw a star on this thing. Talk about it on Twitter. Go into the issues here. Get involved. Let us know what you think about some of these things. I mean, look at this one. Optimize the BCL. We were talking about this in some of the samples. We need to run linkers through the app so that we can reduce the number of things that we're publishing, right? We don't want to publish all this garbage. We only want to use the things we need when we publish Blazor. Blazor apps. Maybe just start. There are so many emails. Well, if you comment on issues that you feel are important to you, you'll get involved in the conversation. Docker, right? Oh my gosh, what's this about Docker, right? Please consider testing under Docker. Okay. They want to make sure apps are nice to develop under Docker. Don't run under Docker. So, yeah. And there are some folks that like to abuse some of the issue creation stuff. But pre-rendering, oh my gosh, scaffolding, state management. There's a lot coming. Blazor editor, right? Make Razor code generation extensible, component IntelliSense completions. All kinds of stuff. We're right at the beginning. This is your chance, if you're interested to see how a big project like this, a big framework is built, go ahead and watch. And speaking of watching, Jonas Grays, thank you for the follow. And you too, Steve. Good to see you again here. So optimize mono runtime, and the folks over at Xamarin, Miguel and his team, there's some pretty brilliant folks over there that are going to make that awesome. All right. So check it out. Drop a star on it. Let folks know what you think about it. All right. Yeah, Jonas, you actually caught me right at the end here today. But I will archive off today's video. I will push it over to YouTube. Steve Sanderson has he has a link to a post taking a deeper dive on it. Where is it? Where is it? That really describes how this thing works. And I don't see the link right here. Might have been on the blog post. Blogs. Here. Come on. Wow. All right. Lots of stars on it since the beginning of the stream. That's cool. So, here we go. And there's a link. Blazor repo, Blazor fact, the issue tracker.
I was just looking at Steve's post on this, and yeah, so there's Xamarin team working on Mono for the browser. Yeah, I was just, gosh. Nope. That's his.
Would be great to add to your.
No, it wouldn't be great to add to your skill set because the JavaScript guides come and go quickly. Why is Blazor experimental? Lots of questions to answer about it. It's very early in it. Modern mobile browsers do support it. I don't see it. There was a link to this. I'll find it. It was in my tweet about Blazor a few days ago. Yeah, I know. No, not the video. I'm not sure where I found it, to be honest. Probably Twitter. Like, I literally had a browser open pointed to it. Nope, not that one. Here it is. This is it. From Steve Sanderson's blog. Technical introduction. Running .NET in the browser. Interpreted mode. So this is the way that we think folks are going to want to use it. You're writing C# and Razor source files. Compiles into a DLL that is loaded by the Mono WASM, the WebAssembly. And you interact with browser APIs on the browser. AOT compile down into a WASM, right, WebAssembly file, and then Mono's just interacting with that directly. The problem with this is this build is going to take a heck of a lot longer to run through. And yeah. So they are looking at making a SPA framework that'll work great off of this. And yeah, how to do components with this. Really cool stuff here. I encourage you to check this out if you want to learn more about it. Get a little bit more into the head of the team, right? Understand what they're thinking and how this runs, right? And they want to run this .NET IL linker, and you're going to see more about the .NET IL linker because we want to compress down. We want to reduce the amount of stuff that you're shipping to run your application. So check it out. There's a ton there. So blog stevensanderson.com, and you'll be able to find Steve and folks talking about this. Look at it. So this is actually kind of a bit of what I feel about the Java. I feel this way about the JavaScript frameworks also. There's a ton of very disjointed libraries and things that you need to pull together in order to run a JavaScript SPA framework. And because they're not statically linked, right, and you don't have strong typing in those languages, you're going to run into a bit of an issue. And you won't know you're run into an issue till after you compile everything. Put a link to that Blazor Reveal NDC talk in there as well. Yeah, there is a... so Steve's original presentation of this, nobody knew he was going to do it. He literally spent a couple weekends just, hey, let me see what happens if I can run inside of WebAssembly. Only 692 packages to run that Angular project. Now remember, JavaScript packages can be as little as 2 or 3 lines of code, and they're not compiled. So you're literally bringing in a JavaScript base class library, which we have. So David Fowler's brain exploded on Twitter. Yeah, David Fowler is our ASP.NET architect, right? He's our developer that's leading ASP.NET core development. So, all right, I think I gotta stop there today. It's 1:30 my time. We've been on for about 2.5 hours here. Thank you so much, everybody that's joined me. I will, of course, archive off. We'll put this on YouTube. Chris, when you send me that link, I will grab that list of links and we'll attach that to the YouTube video. So if you keep an eye on my Twitter feed, you'll see that pop up. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining in. Thank you to all of our new followers today. I really appreciate that. I'll be back on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. UTC, and there's some stuff I want to go through there. I'm going to do some tidying up of some of our other ASP.NET Core projects. Of course, answer your questions, and take a look at start tidying some of that up and start getting ready for our workshop. And we're hosting that. Remember, we're going to host our workshop. I'm 99% positive we're going to be hosting it on Friday the 16th. So I hope you join me then. Until Tuesday, thanks so much for joining me. Have a good afternoon. See ya.